Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from paulthepoke.com. Today's topic, trend update, trouble brewing on the Arabian Peninsula. We are November 11, 2017. Scripture references out of Isaiah 21, verses 13 through 15. The oracle concerning Arabia. In the thickets in Arabia you will lodge, O caravans of Dedanites. To the thirsty bring water, meet the fugitive with bread, O inhabitants of the land of Tema. For they have fled from the swords, from the drawn sword, from the bent bow, and from the press of battle. Also, we're going to take a quick look at Jeremiah 49, verse 28, just the initial part concerning Kedar. So the prophets Isaiah and Jeremiah define Arabia, or modern-day Saudi Arabia. And this is the Hebrew word Arab. It means a desert plateau, a country east of Israel. Well, I mean, if you look at the map and you look at the geography, this is pretty straightforward. I mean, look at Saudi Arabia is a desert plateau and it's east of Israel. I mean, so not much mystery as who this belongs to. And the following people and their descendants make up Arabia per the prophets. And Isaiah and Jeremiah point out Dedan, Tema, and Kedar. Those are the people of what is Arabia. So that brings us to today, November 11, 2017. Tension is building on the Arabian Peninsula, and at the core of the issue is the conflict between Iran to the north, Shia Muslims, Saudi Arabia to the south, Sunni Muslims. The Saudis and their allies have concerns about a nuclear Iran, and that would be, Oman, Yemen, Egypt, Jordan. This would be the southern countries. The southern Muslim, Sunni Muslim countries have concerns about a nuclear Shia Iran. Now, the Houthi Shia rebels in Yemen, that's down here to the southern peninsula, the southern tip of the peninsula. On the western half, this is where the Houthi Shia rebels are, and they're supported by Iran to the north. And earlier in the week, a missile was fired from Yemen that targeted Riyadh, specifically the King Khalid International Airport. And we're going to zoom in. So you can see when they fired this missile from the south, the airport's on the northern part of the city. So the missile went right over the top of the capital of Saudi Arabia, that's Riyadh. And this is their commercial international airport. Now, it was intercepted by the Saudis. Patriot missile battery shot it down. No injuries or damage was reported. But the Saudis have stated Iran has committed an act of war. So, this is not something that they particularly cared for. Now, French President Emmanuel Macron is on the record blaming the Iranians. The missile, which was intercepted by Saudi Arabia, launched from Yemen, which obviously is an Iranian missile, shows precisely the strength of their program. And that's a quote from Emmanuel Macron, French president. And that information was taken from Radio Free Europe. I got a link provided if you guys want to look into the detail of the article. And then also the United States Air Force is confirming Iranian involvement in the missile launch from Yemen to Riyadh as well. So you got a couple of different sources, and it's pretty clear that this came from down here on the southern tip of the peninsula, and it's Iranian made, Iranian support, etc. Which now brings us to Lebanon. Let's put Lebanon up here in the north to the mix of all this. Lebanon's Prime Minister Saad Hariri resigned his position as Prime Minister in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So he leaves Lebanon, goes down to Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, and resigns his position as Prime Minister. Now, Mr. Hariri is a Sunni Muslim supported by the Saudis. Now, with the announcement of the resignation, Hezbollah, Shia Muslims, leader Hassan Nasrallah accused Saudi Arabia of declaring war on Lebanon. And this is a quote from Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Shia terrorist group. And then the quote is following: in short, it is clear that Saudi Arabia and Saudi officials have declared war on Lebanon and on Hezbollah in Lebanon. But I have to say, this is a war on Lebanon. Now, the concern is that Lebanon will erupt into a civil war like Yemen down here to the south, and you will have Saudi and Iranian proxies. So again, Sunni v. Shia. Now, to make matters more complicated, in Lebanon, the Saudis have ordered all citizens to leave Lebanon, and Saudi money is leaving Lebanon banks by the billions. And I mean, all of these stories are going to have hundreds of billions of dollars involved. Now, this is clearly going to affect Hezbollah's ability to buy resources to fund their projects in terrorism. And that's going to have an impact on Hezbollah, or the Shia faction of Islam, which is supported by Iran. I know all this stuff gets complicated, but you got to follow the money and follow the ideologies of Islam. And that comes from BBC.com. A link will be provided for that as well. So we go back to the Arabian Peninsula. And this week, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, he's known as MBS in the press, has been arresting over 200 officials in the name of government corruption. The 32-year-old MBS is the future king of Saudi Arabia. So you're going to be hearing more about Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He arrested 11 members of his family for corruption. They're mostly his cousins. About 38 government ministers were detained, and he also arrested military, religious, and business leaders as well. There's a great little link to time.com, Saudi Purge Mohammed bin Salman. If you want to get a nice overview of what took place in regards to all the arrests and who was arrested and why, there's a nice article about that, and you can check that out for more detail. Now, the thing that gets real fascinating with all of this is money is moving out of Saudi Arabia by the hundreds of billions of dollars. Money is moving around the Middle East by hundreds of billions of dollars, and people, rich and wealthy people, are freaking out in fear of having their assets seized. The Saudi government is having budget problems due to the lower cost of oil. And so you got to follow the money. And there are a couple of articles that talk about how money's moving around the region. And, with the raids made by MBS on family members, business leaders, etc., they managed to seize $800 billion in assets. So, volatile time on the Arabian Peninsula. Now, Scripture, very clear. In the final analysis, the Saudis are going to get pummeled. Isaiah bears witness and confirms their fate. And this picks up in Isaiah 21, where we left off, verses 16 and 17. For thus the Lord said to me, within a year, according to years of a hired worker, all the glory of Kedar will come to an end, and the remainder of the archers of the mighty men of the sons of Kedar will be few, for the Lord, the God of Israel, has spoken. So all these arms they're buying, gearing up for war, not going to be much of it left when all this stuff comes down. And that's pretty much the gist of, what is said about Arabia in Bible prophecy. So there's not a whole lot other than not going to be much left when it all goes down. But at any rate, if you're interested in this topic, please feel free to check out paulthepoke.com, keyword Saudi Arabia, Kedar, Tima, Dedan, Lebanon, Iran, Sunni, Shia. Thanks for listening. You guys have a great day. Take care.